After losing Chris Paul, many people have written off the Clippers as a team that is now irrelevant, and understandably so. If you take a look at the Clippers' record before and after they had Chris Paul, you can see just how big an impact he had on the franchise. But in today's video, we're going to take a look at this new Clippers roster and why this team might not be as bad as you think, maybe even good enough to surpass their record last season. What's up guys, welcome to MDJ, my name is Mark, and when I heard Chris Paul was leaving, I thought what most others thought too, which is that this is the end of Lob City. And with Blake being pursued by Boston, Phoenix, and OKC, I was pretty confident that he would leave as well. But then I heard that the Chris Paul thing was going to be a sign-in trade, that the Clippers got back Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Sam Dekker, Montrezl Harrell, and other young players. I thought, okay, they got some young pieces that might be good, and some other players they can flip into assets to help them rebuild. But then the Clippers offered Blake Griffin a max contract and got him to stay. And this move made it obvious that the Clippers had no intention of rebuilding. Then they went out and got Danilo Gallinari, and this team started becoming a little interesting to me, because Gallinari was, in my opinion, one of the most underrated stars that nobody paid attention to last season. Then the Clippers signed Milos Teodosic. Now, if you have no idea who this guy is, I highly recommend checking out Coach Nick's in-depth video on him. But the short version is that Milos Teodosic is one of the greatest European players of all time that a lot of NBA teams have been trying to convince to come to the NBA. And the Clippers turned out to be the team that he wanted to go to. Milos is known for two things. One, his incredible court vision, and two, his elite shooting. He is also unfortunately known for his bad defense, and combine those three elements, you have what a lot of people are calling the next Steve Nash. Now with a player like this who has never played in the NBA before, it's tough to judge just how good he will be, but I will say that his skill set fits perfectly with this Clippers team. Because after the Clippers signed Danilo, I looked at their roster and I was still concerned that they didn't have a perimeter player that could handle the ball and make plays for his teammates. I mean, is Patrick Beverley going to throw DeAndre Jordan lobs? While it's not been confirmed yet, the Clippers will likely start Milos Teodosic alongside Beverley in the backcourt, which is a great fit because Milos at 6'5" does have shooting guard height. And while he struggles defending quicker players, there's no better way to help them than to slot an all-defensive caliber player that can take on the tougher matchups. Patrick Beverley has also proved immensely as a spot-up shooter, and him and Gallinari will both get a good amount of open looks. Speaking of Gallinari, like I said, I think Gallinari is one of the most underrated players in the league today. Because of all the injuries he's had, he's been out of sight, out of mind for most NBA fans, but after All-Star break last year, he was awesome. Let me just read the numbers to you. 20.4 points, 5.7 rebounds, 47.7% shooting from the field, 40% from three, 93% from the free throw line. Not only is he a spot-up weapon that the Clippers can utilize, he is a fantastic shot creator, and the Clippers need that guy in late games with the clock ticking down for you to just dump the ball to and say, go get me a bucket. Because you can't have Patrick Beverley doing that. Isolation isn't Milos Teodosic's strong suit, and from what we've seen, Blake Griffin isn't really a guy that loves taking those big shots. I'm not saying that Gallinari is Kobe or Kyrie, but he's something, and better than the other late game options the Clippers have on the wing. Now let's look at the bench. The biggest addition obviously is Lou Williams, runner-up 6th Man of the Year candidate, for all intents and purposes, a younger Jamal Crawford. And at this point in their respective careers, you'd no doubt rather have Williams than Crawford. If you're the Clippers, you just have to make sure he makes his first shot. Alongside Williams, they still kept Austin Rivers, and they added Sam Dekker and Montrezl Harrell, who both played solid bench roles for Houston last season. And you still have Maurice Speights. Harrell is a power forward that occasionally was used as a center because he can't really shoot. But with Speights, you have a stretch 5 that complements him, so on paper, those two fit together pretty nicely. But above all that, I'm most excited to see Blake Griffin be the clear-cut #1 option for this team. Because remember, we've never seen prime Blake Griffin, or at least all-star Blake Griffin, play without Chris Paul. And at times when Chris Paul got injured, Blake Griffin was awesome, and you could tell that he was comfortable being that primary playmaker. Probably the most underrated part of his game is how well he handles the ball and his court vision for a big man. Check this out. If I didn't show you the advanced stats, you'd probably guess that Blake Griffin is best at being the pick-and-roll roll man. And that's true, he's good at it. Or maybe that he's best as a post-up player, which is less true. But no, Blake Griffin's most efficient area of attack was not as the roll man, it was not as a post-up threat, it was as the pick-and-roll ball handler, where he ranked better than 92% of the qualifying players. It was impossible for him to really take advantage of that strength if he's playing with a player that relies so heavily on being that pick-and-roll ball handler, and so I'm excited to see the Clippers unleash Points Blake. Okay, now I don't want to act like a hype beast and be like, oh, Clippers 2018 championship! Why Blake Griffin is the next Hakeem Olajuwon. I'm a rational NBA fan. So here are the parts that do concern me about this team. Number one is Lou Williams and Austin Rivers aren't a great fit because, well, they're just not going to pass the ball to each other. To be honest, I think Jamal Crawford these last couple years kind of rubbed off on Austin Rivers a bit, who's fallen in love with taking these difficult step back jumpers and floaters. The same shots Lou Williams likes taking, and it's kind of why I never liked the Jamal Crawford-Austin Rivers pairing, because neither are point guards that really make their teammates better. The second thing is, I don't know what the Clippers' crunch time lineup is going to look like, and that kind of troubles you because you can usually guess what the lineup is for most other teams. So it's safe to say that Patrick Beverley will be on it, Blake will be on it, but the Clippers might not be able to get away with playing Gallinari at small forward in crunch time because he's not quick enough to guard perimeter players. So what? Bench DeAndre, play Gallinari at the 4, Blake at the 5? What about shooting guard? Is it going to be Milos or Lou Williams or maybe even Austin Rivers? There's a lot of questions as to how the Clippers utilize their personnel, and it will be a key factor as to whether or not they can make this whole thing work. But above everything else, there is one thing that worries me even more than whether or not Lou Williams makes his first shot, and that's whether or not Blake can stay healthy. It's well documented how injury prone he is. The knee surgeries, the back spasms, the broken hand, and this last season during the playoffs when he went out with a toe injury. The Clippers have yet to give us a timetable for his return, but doctors have said that it's unlikely he'll be fully recovered by the time this season starts. So the Clippers might have to work without him for at least 10 to 20 games. And once he does come back, there's no guarantee that he won't get yet another injury. And you also have Danilo Gallinari, who has had his fair share of injuries. Bottom line is that if Blake isn't healthy, nothing we've talked about matters. This team needs Blake, and when they paid him $173 million, they were not betting on his ability, they were betting on his health. But if he miraculously manages to stay healthy and the pieces around fit together like we think they can, Lob City might still be Lob City, and last year's 51-win record no longer seems like an impossible goal to overcome. Alright, that's it for today's video. Thank you for watching. Question for you. Do you think the Clippers can make the playoffs this next year? Judging by how good the West is, it might actually take them 51 wins just to make the 8th seed. If this is your first time here on this channel, make sure to subscribe. I'll be doing some season previews for other teams as well. Other than that, my name is Mark, aka MDJ. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.